Imagine waking up, grabbing your morning coffee, usual routine.
Right.
You open up your laptop, and you see that your best-selling e-commerce listings, the ones you haven't touched in, like a year because they just print money, are suddenly dark,
Oh, man.
gone, deactivated. Or maybe a marketplace compliance form is suddenly blocking you from publishing anything new until you provide this thing called an EU responsible person.
Yeah, which is just terrifying.
It is. And if you are selling into the European Union from outside its borders right now, this scenario is probably sounding uncomfortably familiar.
Oh, it is the absolute definition of an operational nightmare. I mean, we are seeing businesses scrambling, just tearing their hair out over this.
But they think it's a bug, right?
Exactly. They think they've had some new technical glitch on Amazon or Zalando, when in reality, they've collided headfirst with a massive regulatory wall that they simply, didn't see coming.
Which is exactly why the mission of today's deep dive is to unpack this highly comprehensive guide we've got in front of us. It's titled GPSR for Shopify Sellers, Your EU Responsible Person.
It's a crucial document.
Really is. So our goal today is to completely demystify the EU's General Product Safety Regulation, that's the GPSR, specifically for non-EU e-commerce sellers.
Right, the outsiders.
Exactly. We are going to explain why those marketplace listings are vanishing, how the digital plumbing actually works, and how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to start with the most shocking detail from our source material right out of the gate.
Go for it.
We're sitting here in August 2026. The deadline for this regulation was December 13, 2024.
Yeah.
That is 20 months ago. The old product safety directives from, 1987 and 2001?
Yeah, long gone.
They are dead and repealed.
Which completely shifts the mindset a business owner needs to have here. I mean, if you are reading articles online or watching tutorials that say these rules will come into effect.
Right, like future tense.
Exactly, future tense. If you see that, you are consuming obsolete information. It describes a state of the world that just no longer exists.
Oh, wow.
This is not about preparing for the future anymore. It is an urgent, massive catch-up job. The rules are live, the enforcement is highly active across multiple member states, and the clock isn't ticking down. It already went off over a year and a half ago.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before a seller starts panicking and, completely redesigning their international supply chain, they probably need to know if these rules even apply to their specific inventory.
Right.
What exactly is caught in this regulatory net?
Well, the core text of the regulation defines the scope so broadly that it essentially captures everything by default.
Everything.
Pretty much. If you are selling new consumer goods that don't have their own specific EU safety regime, things like apparel, accessories, homeware, furniture, gymnastic equipment, you name it.
Okay.
You are fully in scope. And it doesn't stop at new items either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the rules explicitly pull in secondhand, refurbished, and reconditioned goods, as long as they are sold ready to use.
Now, I noticed the source guide mentions exactly 9 categories that are explicitly excluded.
Yes.
Some of them are obvious, like medicines, food, and live plants.
Right, those have their own massive rule book.
Exactly. But I found the antiques exemption brilliant. It's like a rare moment of extreme common sense in international law.
It really is.
Because you simply cannot retrofit a 1920s Art Deco lamp with a modern grounding wire and expect it to maintain its historical value.
Right. What's fascinating here is the regulatory philosophy behind that exact carve-out.
Tell me more.
Well, the preamble to the regulation specifically explains that you cannot expect a historical collectible to meet state-of-the-art modern safety standards.
Right.
It defies logic, and it would destroy the antique market entirely, so they carved it out. They also carved out goods that are explicitly sold to be repaired or reconditioned before use.
Cool.
But there is a crucial nuance there that catches sellers out. The marking is the condition, not the intention.
Wait, meaning you can't just sell a broken radio and hope the buyer knows it's a project piece.
Precisely. You have to clearly and overtly mark the product as needing repair before it can safely be used.
Oh, I see.
You cannot silently rely on the consumer's intuition. If it isn't labeled as a repair project, the EU assumes you are selling it as a functioning, safe product subject to full regulation.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk about products that already have massive encyclopedic rulebooks, like cosmetics or medical devices. Do those sellers have to double up on their compliance?
That is where the text is very precise. Where specific EU rules already regulate the same safety objective, GPSR steps back.
Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, it acts as a complementary layer. It only applies to the aspects and the specific risks that those other rules do not cover.
So it's essentially a massive legal safety net.
Yep.
Think about a trapeze artist. If you are selling cosmetics, you already have this highly customized, intricate regulatory parachute strapped to your back, dictating chemical compounds and skin testing.
Right, you're covered for that specific danger.
But if you're selling a plain cotton t-shirt, or a ceramic coffee mug, or a yoga mat, you don't have that specific parachute.
Exactly.
The GPSR is the sprawling safety net strung across the entire bottom of the EU market to catch everything else. It ensures that no consumer product, no matter how simple or seemingly harmless, falls through the cracks.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. It is the absolute baseline floor for consumer safety, filling in the gaps wherever no other EU harmonization legislation exists.
Let's say I've audited my catalog. I sell apparel. I don't have a parachute.
Okay.
I am squarely in the safety net.
Welcome to the club.
Right. Now I hit what looks like the most formidable obstacle in this entire document. The text states I cannot legally place a product on the EU market without an established economic operator physically located in the EU.
Yes, the infamous EU responsible person.
That sounds intense.
It is. This is the core obligation that is catching international sellers completely by surprise. We need to be very clear here. This is not a suggestion.
Okay.
It is not a best practice for customer service or a nice to have for localization. It is a strict, non-negotiable legal condition on the sale itself.
Wow.
Without this entity physically established within the borders of the Union, the product is barred from entry.
So the source breaks down a hierarchy of 4 allowable roles for this economic operator. Let's not just read the list. Let's figure out how this applies in the real world.
Sure, let's do it.
Say I'm an American brand.
Yeah.
I manufacture my own premium leather wallets in a workshop in Ohio.
Okay, Ohio wallets.
Yeah. Who is the EU going to hold accountable?
Well, the first option in the legal hierarchy is the manufacturer, but that only applies if the manufacturer is actually established in the EU.
Which I'm not.
Right. Since you were in Ohio, that option is completely off the table. The EU authorities cannot easily audit an Ohio workshop or serve you with European legal notices. You need a local anchor.
Okay, so what if I don't sell direct to consumer? What if I sell my wallets wholesale to a massive boutique chain based in Paris, and they handle the distribution?
Then we move to the second option, which is the importer.
Ah, the boutique.
Exactly.
Right.
If a European business buys your products wholesale and resells them within the EU market, that business legally becomes the importer and takes on the responsibility.
That sounds easy enough.
But a massive warning sign for sellers here, you need their details and agreement in writing. You cannot just assume your wholesale partner is quietly handling this liability for you.
Gotcha. Get it in writing. But a lot of the listeners tuning in are running direct-to-consumer dropshipping operations.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets tricky.
Right, so their supplier in China puts the product in a box, hands it to a major international courier like FedEx or DHL, and that courier flies it straight to the customer in France or Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Can that courier, who is technically addressing and dispatching the package inside the EU, can they just be my responsible person by default?
The text is brutally clear on this point.
Yep.
No, not at all. The regulation expressly and by name excludes postal services, parcel delivery services, and freight transport from taking on this role.
Really? Even though they are handling the goods?
Yeah, think about the logic behind it. A courier is just moving a cardboard box. They don't know how the product inside was manufactured.
Right.
They don't have access to your technical safety files, and they certainly aren't going to take on the legal liability if your electronic gadget catches fire in a consumer's home.
Okay, that makes sense. So in a standard direct-to-consumer dropship chain from outside the EU, literally nobody in that chain qualifies by default.
Nobody. You have a massive legal gap, which means you are forced into the third option, the authorized representative.
The hired done.
Exactly. You must actively go out into the commercial market, hire a specialized compliance firm based in the EU, give them a formal written mandate, and appoint them to represent you to the European authorities.
Okay. And the fourth option, the source mentions a fulfillment service provider.
Yeah, so the Commission's guidelines are crystal clear that a fulfillment provider is a strict fallback.
Meaning?
It only applies if the first 3 rules do not exist. And they must meet a very specific operational definition, performing at least 2 of 4 tasks.
Which are?
Warehousing, packaging, addressing, and dispatching, all without actually claiming ownership of the goods.
Okay.
But again, you have to formally partner with them for this. It isn't automatic just because they hold your inventory.
Right, so you can't just point to a warehouse and say, yeah, they're responsible.
Exactly.
Okay, let's assume a seller does the hard work. They audit the supply chain, they go out into the market, they sign the contract, and they secure an authorized representative with a written mandate.
Good for them.
But that is really only the internal operational hurdle. The next step is proving it to the consumer on your digital storefront. The regulation refers to this as the distance offer.
Yes. The moment you offer a product for sale online, you are engaging in distance selling. The EU's stance is that consumers shouldn't have to buy a product and wait for it to arrive just to read the safety label.
That makes total sense.
Right, they want total transparency before the consumer clicks the buy button. The source outlines 4 non-negotiable items that must be clearly and visibly indicated on every single product page facing the EU market.
I want to dig into why these specific items are required, rather than just listing them out, because the logic really exposes how strict this regulation is.
Sure.
First requirement is manufacturer details. That means the name, plus both the physical postal address and an electronic address, like an email. Why both?
Because consumer protection in a digital age requires multi-channel accountability. A physical address ensures that market surveillance authorities know exactly where the business is incorporated.
So they can serve papers.
Exactly. So they can serve legal papers or conduct physical audits if necessary. But an electronic address is there for speed. If there is a sudden, severe safety recall, say, a choking hazard in a children's toy, authorities and consumers need to be able to contact the manufacturer instantly, not wait for international registered mail.
And the second requirement mirrors that. The responsible person details, again, name, physical postal address in the EU, and electronic address. It's that local anchor point for rapid response.
Exactly. The EU authorities need a door to knock on within their own jurisdiction.
Okay, requirement 3 is product identification. And a crucial detail jumped out at me here. The legal text explicitly mandates a picture of the product. Why go so far as to mandate an image?
Because text descriptions can be incredibly vague, misleading, or easily altered after the fact.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, if a seller just writes blue coffee mug and later a toxic glaze is found on a specific style of mug they sold, they could try to claim the text referred to a different product entirely.
Oh, wow. So it's an anti-fraud measure, basically.
Exactly. A visual image definitively locks in exactly what product the safety warnings and the responsible person apply to. It prevents sellers from hiding behind generic text. If your listing only has text and no image, it is legally non-compliant with the minimum safety standards.
Okay. And requirement 4, warnings and safety information. But here is the catch. It must be in a language easily understood by the consumers in the specific member state where the product is being offered.
Yes, because consumer safety relies entirely on comprehension. A highly detailed, perfectly accurate safety warning about electrical voltage is completely useless to a consumer in Spain if it is only written in German.
Right. And this brings up a huge operational pain point. People naturally look to their e-commerce platform, let's use Shopify as the example, since our source guide focuses heavily on it, to just handle this complex web of requirements for them.
Oh, they definitely do.
They log in wanting a big green Enable EU compliance button. But reading through this guide, I keep thinking of Shopify's approach to this like a massive hardware store.
How do you mean?
Well, you walk into a hardware store, and they will gladly sell you the raw lumber, the nails, the drywall, and the hammers. But they absolutely refuse to build a house for you.
That's very true.
Shopify provides the underlying building blocks. They offer disclosures, meta objects. They have a jurisdictions field to help you map those per-market language requirements dynamically. But there is no native Shopify responsible person service you can just subscribe to, and there is no single magical setting that suddenly populates your entire catalog with localized safety data.
No, not at all.
The architectural assembly is entirely on you.
That is an incredibly accurate analogy. A meta object in Shopify is essentially a way to store a reusable chunk of custom data, instead of manually typing your responsible person's address into the description of 10,000 different t-shirts.
Which would be a nightmare.
Total nightmare. So instead, you build the meta object once, and you link it to the products. The platform provides the advanced architecture to hold and map the data efficiently. But populating that data, verifying its accuracy, and linking it to the correct jurisdictions is a massive catalog management job. It falls squarely on the merchant's shoulders.
Here's where it gets really interesting for anyone actually trying to build this house. There is a sneaky administrative trap hidden in that architecture.
Oh, the permissions issue.
Yes. The source mentions that a lot of marketing hires or agency staff will log into the back end to update these product disclosures, and they find they are completely locked out of the fields.
Yeah.
They immediately assume, oh, Shopify is gating this compliance feature behind a more expensive paid plan. We need to upgrade, or we need to buy an expensive third-party app.
But that's a complete misdiagnosis of the problem, and it costs businesses unnecessary money. It is not a billing limitation at all. It is a staff permissions issue. Because meta objects are a distinct data structure from standard products, editing them requires specific clearance. To edit and create those disclosures entries, a staff member needs both the standard product editing permissions and the content editing permissions for meta-object definitions.
So it's two separate checkboxes, basically.
Exactly. If an admin only gives their marketing person standard product access, they will hit a brick wall.
Fix your staff permissions before you rewrite your software budget.
Absolutely.
So let's pivot to the dark side of this equation. What happens if a seller just ignores all of this? They don't use the hardware store tools, they leave their product pages completely blank, and they just hope nobody in Europe notices their listings. How do the lights actually go out on a business?
They go out terrifyingly fast, and usually without a polite warning letter arriving at your corporate headquarters first.
Really? No warning?
No. The regulation forces online marketplaces to designate a single point of contact for market surveillance authorities. This contact is registered with a centralized European database called the SafetyGate portal. When an authority spots a non-compliant product and issues a removal order through that portal, the marketplace is legally mandated to act within 2 working days from receipt.
2 working days. 48 hours.
Exactly. The clock belongs to the platform, not to the seller. You aren't given a week to hire a lawyer, draft a response, and promise to update your website. If listing goes dark, your revenue stream on that product instantly stops, and then after the fact, you get the automated platform email telling you that you've been suspended.
Wow. I hear massive fine numbers thrown around all the time in seller forums. What is the actual financial penalty?
This is a major area of confusion that the source clears up nicely. There is no single pan-European GPSR fine.
Oh, there isn't?
No. The regulation intentionally left the exact penalties up to the individual member states, simply dictating that they must be effective, proportionate, and dissuasive. So you are dealing with national laws.
Got it.
The source uses Ireland as an example. Under their specific 2024 regulations implementing this EU directive, a seller could face a fine of up to 500,000 euros, or up to 2 years imprisonment on conviction on indictment.
€500,000. That goes way beyond the cost of doing business.
Oh, entirely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to understand the immense friction between complex legal nuance and marketplace automation.
Right.
The platforms, whether it's Amazon, AliExpress, or anyone else, are facing incredible regulatory pressure and liability. They have a 48-hour window to comply with a takedown order from a government authority.
They don't have time to mess around.
Exactly. They do not have the time, the resources, or the incentive to manually investigate your supply chain to see if you technically qualify for a niche exemption. Their automated systems will simply scrape your data fields.
And if they're empty?
If the responsible person field is empty, or the manufacturer address is missing a zip code, the automation flags it as a liability, suspends the listing to protect the platform, and asks you questions later.
It's ruthless efficiency. We need to clear up one more massive area of confusion that the source heavily emphasizes. A lot of sellers think they are already perfectly compliant because they did a massive compliance push last year for packaging EPR, like registering for the LUCID database in Germany, or maybe they already have a responsible person for their cosmetics line.
Merging those concepts in your head is a very dangerous operational mistake.
Yeah.
They are completely separate legal regimes with entirely different goals. Packaging EPR, extended producer responsibility, is fundamentally an environmental regulation about waste management. It's about paying a fee to ensure the cardboard box and the plastic wrap your product ships in are collected and recycled.
Right.
Paying a small fee to recycle a cardboard box does absolutely nothing to prove that the actual product inside the box is structurally safe for a consumer to use.
It's like paying your parking ticket and assuming it magically renewed your expired driver's license.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And regarding the cosmetics crossover, existing directives already require a responsible person specifically for beauty products to monitor chemical safety. Because that specific legislation exists, GPSR steps back for those chemical risks.
Okay, so no double duty there.
Right. You do not need to hire a second separate responsible person just for GPSR if you already have one for cosmetics. But if your brand sells cosmetics and branded T-shirts, the cosmetic representative's mandate only covers the cosmetics. You still need to secure an operator for the T-shirts under the general safety net.
So what does this all mean for the listener right now? If we synthesize everything we've just discussed into a concrete action plan, it's a very specific order of operations.
Very specific.
First, you had to fill the role, audit your catalog, figure out where you sit in that hierarchy, find your EU representative, and secure the mandate in writing. Second, only after you have that verified data, you build the architecture on your digital storefront.
Yep.
You update the Shopify meta objects. You map the jurisdictions. You get the physical and electronic addresses visible. You confirm every variant has a picture, and you translate the safety warnings. The source makes a brilliant point here. Never, ever publish a placeholder.
Oh, absolutely not.
Don't just type TBD or NA into a compliance field on a marketplace to try and bypass their publishing blockers.
Because that automated system will read TBD, log it as invalid or missing data, and immediately flag your account for suspension anyway. You have to mirror the correct final data from your own storefront directly to the marketplaces.
It has to match perfectly.
Exactly. As the text explicitly points out, the marketplaces act as an entirely separate ecosystem. Your independent Shopify store could be perfectly compliant, beautifully designed, with every meta object flawlessly mapped. But if you didn't manually push that exact same compliance data into the specific Amazon or Zalando backend forms, your marketplace listings will fail entirely independently of your storefront.
It really is a comprehensive, multi-channel overhaul of how you present your products to the European continent. It's an audit of your physical catalog, securing the legal representation, updating your own storefront architecture, and systematically mirroring that data everywhere you sell. It is a massive undertaking.
This raises an important question, though.
What's that?
Well, we've spent this entire conversation dissecting the digital display, the distance offer on your website, and the marketplace fields.
Yeah.
But the regulation also demands that the responsible person's information be physically present on the product, its packaging, or an accompanying document inside the parcel.
Right, the physical label or the insert card that actually travels with the goods.
So consider this final thought experiment based on how strict this enforcement mechanism actually is. What happens when a merchant does everything right digitally? Their website is flawless, their marketplace data is perfectly populated, they spent thousands hiring an authorized representative.
A perfect digital setup.
Yes. But on a Tuesday afternoon, a worker in a busy third-party warehouse in Ohio or Shenzhen is rushing to meet a shipping deadline, and they simply forget to drop that physical slip of paper with the responsible person's address into a single parcel bound for Germany.
Oh, no.
That parcel arrives at an EU border, gets pulled for a random physical check, and the inspector finds the paperwork missing. Could a simple, everyday packing error by one warehouse worker instantly trigger a non-compliance alert in the SafetyGate portal?
Wow.
And if it does, will that single physical slip-up legally compel a completely separate digital marketplace to nuke the seller's fully compliant online empire within 48 hours?
I mean, I'll leave you to ponder that one. The 20-month-old wake-up call wasn't just about updating website code. It means the digital and physical realities of your business are now chained together. Good luck out there, and get those audits done.